Welcome to the Blues Trail Revisited podcast. It's episode 12, and I'm Ted Reed. This podcast is sponsored by the Clarksdale Tourism Commission, also widely known as Visit Clarksdale. This podcast is an offshoot of a film I finished this year about my return to the Mississippi Delta to rediscover the places I first encountered 50 years ago. To see the film, just go to www.bluestrailrevisited.com. This week I'm in my hometown of Gloucester, Massachusetts, also home to one of the best small blues festivals in the Northeast, the Gloucester Blues Festival. Organized by music festival veteran Paul Benjamin, the festival is in its 9th year, and it takes place in historic Stage Fort Park, right on Gloucester's waterfront. Among the stars appearing was this year's Blues Music Award winner for Best Emerging Artist, King Solomon Hicks. We had talked after the award several months ago, and I caught up with him in his tour bus at the festival. I'm at the Gloucester Blues Festival on the harbor of Gloucester, Massachusetts, and I'm sitting in the car with King Solomon Hicks. How you doing today, sir?
Oh man, it's cool being on this big 18-wheeler tour bus at the Gloucester Festival, courtesy of Paul Benjamin. Got Paul's name on the front. Yeah. No, but man, thanks for taking the time to talk, and it's great just hearing all the bands here with Jane Lee Hooker and J.P. Soares, and there's a lot, Cat Riggins, and the Craig Thomas Band, and John Primer ending it off. So just to be a part of it, it's a good feeling.
Well, listen, it's always a great party here, and we're so happy that you're here. So we talked to you after your Blues Music Award this year. What's been going on with you since then?
Oh man, we're just in the studio working on the next album. We're playing in Reading, PA tomorrow, August 15th. And I get a chance to open up for David Bromberg. And later on, unfortunately it's sold out. We're doing the Big Blues Bender out in Las Vegas. And has a lot of great talent. And, besides from that, just keeping on working on the playing. And I'm just glad that the world's getting back to normal and learning how to say Gloucester correctly.
You're doing it very well, very well. This is great because it sounds like you're starting to catch on. And the thing is, you got a really unique sound. You got several unique sounds, and that's the thing that's really mind-blowing, is there's so much variety there. I'm curious, have you been listening to anybody new that, or old, but new to you that, is influencing your stuff now?
Oh, man, well, I would have to say, I always tell people I listen to the Three Kings along with Eric Clapton, B.B. Albert, Freddie, and of course Eric Clapton, but kind of with those sounds. But there's a lot of new, Big Marcus King, Kingfish fan. Samantha Fish just put out a great new record. Davy Knowles as well. Joanna Connor's a huge fan of hers, and like people like Ruthie Foster, Mr. Sip down south, Eric Gales. There's a lot of modern people in the blues circuit that when people say, oh yeah, I don't know who to listen to, it's like, man, there's so many people to choose from. So just as Chuck Berry says, just to be another cog in the wheel, and add into that blues spirit that gets people up. It's a huge responsibility, and it's an honor to carry it on.
Well, it sounds like the blues is far from dead. Many people have said over and over again, that's it, the blues is over. The Sunflower River Festival in Clarksdale, Mississippi, Mr. Sip is closing out tonight.
Oh man!
Yeah, and I've been listening to his stuff, and it's kind of like, whoa, this is the real deal,
Well, I love New York City, and it's a special place, and to say if you can't make it here, you can't make it anywhere. But there's something totally special that you're either around it or you're not. So when I hear players from actual Mississippi and Clarksdale and Texas and Memphis, I don't blame you. I definitely wish I was there too. That's the very players in the city don't have that type of feeling that Mr. Sip and those guys have, the Selwyns and all. It's a lot of great players.
There's some real soul in that. So, do you ever play in New York anymore? I mean, do you play locally, or where can people, if people are coming to New York, which they're starting to do now, where can they see you?
Well, you know, I've been doing a lot more international touring and national touring as well. But when I'm in the city, my next show is probably going to be at the Iridium. For people that know it, that was Les Paul's club, and Les Paul, the famous innovator, guitarist, songwriter. And I'll be playing at a Brooklyn Bowl in October. I'm opening up for the Reverend Sean Amos, who gets played on Bluesville, and he's great in his own right. But my home, always when I come back to Harlem, the Cotton Club and Terra Blues are places that I used to play all the time, and I don't play anymore. But if you want to support good music in the city that's going on, those are two places that really keep it going.
Excellent. I guess a lot of people don't think of New York as a blues town. They think of it more as a jazz town, or show tunes town even.
New York has great blues players that pass through, like Papa Chubby's up here. A good friend of mine, Scott Sherrard, who was a side guitar player for Greg Allman, and he plays like with Little Feat. He's in New York. Arthur Nilsson, who plays with Shamika Copeland, he's in New York. But yeah, it's like when you leave New York and you visit places like Memphis, Chicago, and you hear like Monster Mike Welsh or Toronzo Cannon, and not to throw names, but these are people that I listen to quite often, kind of like you said, like at least like once a week. And then and you hear music is good everywhere, and I like to say the best blues has some jazz in it, and the best jazz has some blues in it. But New York is definitely Lincoln Center, Smalls, Fat Cat, the Blue Note. But every once in a while we get some great blues. It's nice when Warren Haynes and Derek Trucks would stop by the Beacon and they would play it when they were doing those shows. I know they haven't in a while, but every once in a while we get some great players.
Wow, that's great. One last question. People who have been following you, what are they going to like on your new album?
They're going to like and appreciate the room I give for dancers, and the fact that it's still guitar driven, but it still has something that's for people that want to get together and kind of get up on the dance floor, either rock out and boogie on down, or if they just want to slow grind and groove, because it's not always about the fast songs. It's about also just the peaks and valleys. But I think they'll appreciate the guitar and the singing, but more importantly, the guitar has some really cool playing some D'Angelicos, Benedetto super amps with tubes. So really, Kirk Yano's producing the record and will have a good cast of different players.
Sounds excellent. Yeah, well, if anybody can pull it off, I'm certain it's you. You got the dynamics, and you certainly have the interest in all these different musical forms. It's been a pleasure talking to you today. I hope you have a great set. Thank you for coming to Gloucester, and we'll see you soon.
Man, Mr. Reed, thank you so much for taking the time to talk. Man, I'm looking to invite you back on this very short tour bus very, very soon.
I love it. It's palatial.
Yeah.
It has everything.
Get your head out the phone, man. Stand street. Can you feel it? I said, can you feel it? I ain't said with your eye. I said, can you feel it? Wait a minute. I said, can you feel it? I said, can you feel it? Not dig it. I said, feel it, not dig it. Not dig it. I said, can you feel it? I'm asking you, can you feel it? Not dig it, but can you feel it? Yes, all over.
Another north of Boston native who regularly makes the pilgrimage to the Mississippi Delta is radio host Holly Harris. She has a weekly show on WUMB in Boston for many years called Spinning the Blues, and I wanted to ask her about how she discovered our mutual home of the blues away from home in Clarksdale, Mississippi. Holly, thanks for coming on the Blues Trail Revisited podcast.
You're very, very welcome, Ted. Happy to be here.
Listen, you've been going to Clarksdale longer than I have. What brought you there in the first place?
Well, my first trip to Clarksdale was 1989. And I went to it was something wonderful that they had the Blues Foundation way back then when it wasn't as organized as it is now. It might have been, the Blues Music Awards one May. And I think I went down. And it was fabulous. I remember Luther Johnson won that year, and he wasn't there. Well, I'll take it home to him. But they organized a bus tour of all radio folks, and at that time there were a lot of blues stations, commercial, non-commercial. And we went down to Clarksdale, and it was an hour bus ride. And I remember several, promoters from, Denmark and Europe were on this. There were a lot of different people, and they said this is a town that's going to be. And we all went, okay. And they showed us the library, top of the library, filled to the brim with blues material. And they said, that's going to be the Blues Museum. And we went, okay. And then we drove by, Jim O'Neill, and he was doing Rooster Blues at the time. And he waved to us, and musicians came out. And it was nothing like we'd really ever seen before. And Ground Zero wasn't there. Reds might have been there, but we didn't go there. And then we had a luncheon, and Willie Dixon was our keynote speaker. And I sat next to a fascinating fellow at the time named Richard. And he told me, yeah, I'm just a songwriter. Anyway, we stayed in touch. And Richard actually worked with George Jackson and some of the Malaco stuff. So I met a lot of different people at that time. And I loved it. And life went on, and I'd been back and forth to Memphis a couple of times. Then I ran into my good friend, Dick Poet Laurie. And he said, Holly, you've got to come to Clarksdale. You have to come to Clarksdale. And I'm like, okay. And it turned out that in 2013, I was able to first go. And I was blown away. And I breathed in absolutely everything I could breathe in about it because I love the blues so much and all the people involved, and met Roger Stoley, and I think I met Bubba O'Keefe at that time, and I don't think Yazoo Pass, the only restaurant that had salad at that time, was there. And I met wonderful people and became friends with a group of people, Johnny B. Good from California and all over, who owned houses, and everybody was a real blues family. And I made a little promise to myself, I'm going to go back as much as possible. And I also had gone to King Biscuit that year. And early in 1989, I went to King Biscuit and went again 2015. And it's just in my circle of places to visit. So I can't wait to go back in 2022.
What do you think it is about the place that has you keep coming back?
Oh, that's such a good question. I think the blues, certainly, whatever it stands for, it's universal themes of life and love. And I think about all the people that were born in the Delta, men and women, women are really underrepresented, but they're there. And they play this kind of music with such passion and such love. And I think it doesn't matter what your background is, it's a melting pot, and I think I like that. I like that universality of it, Right. But everyone's really friendly, and there's people from all over the world. I mean, there's Swiss bluesmen and French bluesmen and Italian blues women and Belgian people, and you go and you're all there for that one reason, because you love this music. It makes you feel. That's the answer. It makes you feel something. Good, bad, sad, happy, but it makes you feel.
Well, I think we share a lot of the same attractions down there, and it's going to be great to be able to go back there for a Juke Joint Festival next year, if not King Biscuit this year. So hopefully we'll run into each other then.
Well, we'll plan it. We'll connect.
Exactly.
It's the Boston contingent.
I know.
We'll have a little group picture.
Exactly. We'll run into everybody. That'd be great. Holly, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
You're welcome, Ted. Keep it up. We need it.
Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for listening to the Blues Trail Revisited podcast in partnership with Visit Clarksdale. You can watch the film that inspired this podcast by going to www.bluestrailrevisited.com. And you can find out a lot more about Clarksdale, Mississippi by going to visitclarksdale.com or download the app and check out all the cool interactive features. I'd like to shout out a special hello to the folks at Live from Clarksdale and Shared Experiences USA. They're still live streaming music from Clarksdale and organizing special Delta experiences, including Clarksdale's Black History Experience and Deke Harp's Blues Experience. Check out their Facebook page or livefromclarksdale.com and sharedexperiencesUSA.com. I'm Ted Reed, and to all you blues music fans out there, keep on hitting the blues trail. You never know what you're going to find. The Blues Trail Revisited podcast is produced by Ted Reed Productions. The field audio producer is Nolan Dean, and our project manager is Jamie Nyes. Thanks for listening.